with previous experiences. Hello, dear guests. We have today with us Mr. Mihnea. Mr. Mihnea is a psychology professor. He is teaching psychology in Beijing now, and after 15 years of teaching in Bangkok, Thailand. Moreover, he's a talented and gifted martial artist and archer. He trained for archery at a very high level and took part in many competitions. And he's also a writer and author of many distinguished books, from which we're going to remember The Matrix. So, hello, Mihnea.
Hi, and thank you for inviting me to be on your podcast. I'm very excited to have this conversation with you, especially that you're there in Canada, in Montreal, and I'm here in Beijing. It's such a great distance between the two of us, but I think this podcast and this interview and this dialogue we can have, can bring us together.
Yes.
And hopefully the people who are listening, can also feel maybe more connected or can understand or can learn something from our conversation.
That will be a wonderful connection between two continents, between two extremes, day and night, because in between us there's 12-hour gap. So if it's here morning, there will be night, evening in Beijing.
Yes, it is evening and it's quite late already, but I'm excited for our conversation.
Okay, let's start it. So since you're well experienced in martial art and moreover in archery, tell us, and now I understand that you coach archery in Beijing.
Yes.
So how did you discover archery? What brought you to archery at the very beginning?
Right, so I've been practicing martial arts all my life, right? I practiced Aikido, Taekwondo, Karate when I was back home in Romania. And when I moved to Thailand, I lived in Bangkok for a very long period of time. And as you probably know, distances in Bangkok are very large, and the traffic is pretty bad. So for me to get to the archery, for me to get to the Aikido place, to the Aikido dojo, was quite a trek. And I was looking for something closer to my home. And I just did an internet search and I ran into an archery club, which was very, very close to my home at that time in Bangkok. And, just like that, it was a weekend. I said like, okay, let me go and try it out. They had like a free trial. You can go and try for free for like half an hour. And, if you like it, you can continue. And, there was just like a true connection, like a click between me and archery. And I immediately got into it. I signed up for the club. I looked around to buy a bow, and that's how it started. And that was in 2009. And since then, I've been practicing and shooting and participating in competitions. I represented Romania at the World Archery Cup, at the Asian Cup, at the Indoor Cup. I shot in Thailand at pretty high levels. And since you mentioned coaching, I moved to China 2 years ago. And here my situation and adjustment to a new culture, and I focus more on coaching rather than training. So I started at my school a course, an archery course, and this is the second year when we're running this course. And so far,
it's going well.
It's going well, and the Chinese students are very receptive to archery. Although there are very few, so this year we only have like 6 students in the class.
I'm sure there will be more. There will be more. And I know archery, as a fact, is very popular in Asia, notable in Japan. What is it, the mindset of an archer when shooting the arrow?
I think, yeah, it's a very good question. I think I know where you want to go with the question, but I have to make a distinction. The kind of archery that I shoot is Olympic archery. So
Of
the
course,
bow that we're
of course.
using is the recurve bow with all the accessories, and it's a very technical sport. So you have the Olympic bow, which we see at the Olympics. Then you have the compound bow, which is used in the United States for hunting. Think of the Rambo bow, right? That's the
Okay,
compound
okay,
bow.
yes,
And then you have the traditional bow. And
yes.
here you think literally just a piece of wood and a string. And that would be what you, I think, referred to as archery in Japan, Kyudo.
Good.
So the mindset of an archer in these three different, let's say, disciplines, recurve, compound, and traditional, is very different. Because in recurve archery, you are very technical and you move your body in such a way that you want to repeat the same movement again and again and again. In compound archery, the bow is more advanced. So you have a huge scope and you can see closer. It has a higher power, so you can aim longer. While in traditional archery, in Kyudo, in Japanese archery, in Mongolian archery, there's a lot of instinct at work. And actually, I trained. So when I trained in Bangkok, on the same field, we had a club, Siam Kyudo Club, Siam Kyudo Society, which was training there with us. And we were shooting and always focusing, like, I want the bullseye, yellow, yellow, yellow. And then we turned around to the Kyudo guys and I said, like, you missed the target, like you didn't shoot inside the bullseye. And he said, that's not the point of Kyudo. The idea is to have a connection, they were saying, between the archer, the target, and the arrow. So it's very fluid, very Kyudo is very fluid, very instinctual. I tried it out too, and I think my base is in recurve archery. So for me, it's quite difficult to shoot traditional archery. So the mindset of a recurve archer is, I think, very technical. In a way, it's quite fixed. Just do the same thing.
Is it also competitive thinking?
True. There is a level of competitive thinking, and there's also a bit of strategy because you're shooting by points. So if your competitor shot a bad arrow, you know that you have to shoot an arrow that is slightly better, not excellent, and you win the game.
Yes.
While in Kyudo, the idea is to connect with the target on a more, let's say, spiritual level, which does not exist in recurve archery, at least not from my own point of view.
Is it the idea of the bow being an extension of your body, of your mind? We can find it in both disciplines, in both branches of.
I think so. Yes, that is very true. That is very true. Because even in recurve archery, everything that your body does affects the bow, the vibration of the bow, and then the arrow goes to where you want it to go, or you miss the bullseye. So yes, there is an archer, bow, and target connection, but I'm repeating myself. In recurve archery, I think it's very technical. In traditional archery, I think it's very instinctual.
I see, I understand. And then now you're trained also in Muay Thai.
All right, so I've been training in martial arts for a very long time, right? So I've always practiced some sort of martial arts. My focus a long time ago in high school was Aikido. And when I moved to Thailand in 2002, I continued with Aikido. But because I was in Thailand, of course that you are exposed to other martial arts, including the local martial art, which is Muay Thai. So I trained a bit in Thailand. I trained Muay Thai, but not at a competition level. It was just like for myself and to learn new skills and to learn new techniques. And here in Beijing, I used to train with a colleague at our workplace. Now he has just returned from his quarantine, so we will soon start training again. But it's more, you know, it's not serious Muay Thai training. If you go to a Muay Thai camp, it's like very like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, very prescriptive what you have to do. We're more like, you know, testing our abilities and learning new skills and trying to adapt what we know to other martial arts.
Nevertheless, yeah, I think you draw experience from this practice, as well as you said that you combine with previous experiences. Did this help you to the archery practice?
So in archery, you need a lot of upper body strength, especially shoulder and back, and you need stability on your feet because you need to like stand still. I guess in a way, like any kind of muscle improvement in muscle strength is helpful in archery, but I would not see a direct connection between Muay Thai and archery, unless if we think they're both martial arts in the sense that they have a martial element. If you think, but both Muay Thai and archery right now are sports, right? So there's rules and there's regulations and there's points. So maybe the martial element is no longer there today, but as a skill to protect yourself, to know how to fight, to know how to use your hands, how to protect your family. I think any martial art, including Muay Thai, is very, very relevant.
Yes. So coming to this martial arts side, you said you've been practicing Aikido, then you practice even now at a very high level Muay Thai, and also you have a background experience in karate. So all this, what drew you to a conclusion that martial art can also help us to reach a certain level of organization to improve our life, and how this can help the new generation even in life?
I think it's a very good point that you're raising, because the kind of martial arts that I did 25, 30 years ago is maybe a bit different than what happens today in the martial arts world. I think right now it's very commercial and people are trying to make you stay in the gym and pay the fee and bring a friend, and maybe the level is less intense. While when we trained, it was like really rough training and it was really strict and it was very hard and you hurt and you pained and you got beaten up. I think right now we're a bit more lenient on the discipline side. So I would really love to see maybe a switch back to
To the
doing
origin.
martial arts not just as an activity, but also for mental toughness, for physical training, for combat training, to build self-confidence. And I think good martial arts teachers, good coaches instill that in their teachers, in their students. But at the same time, I see these like mini martial art farms where they're like 100 people and they're like doing some random exercise and it's just another activity. You know, sometimes I think these days some people take martial arts as another fitness activity.
Which in your concept is it not?
In my concept, I think for physical activity, you can do anything. Martial arts is also good. But I think if you...
Or it's more than that?
if you stay long enough with your discipline, with your martial art, I think you can reach a higher level of understanding that martial arts is not only about fitness, it's not only about beating someone up. It's also about learning self-restraint, about learning, you know, to be resilient, to deal with pain, to have confidence. And also you learn humility in martial arts, because there will always be someone who's better than you. There's always going to be someone who's stronger than you. So I hope that these days, especially for the younger generation, martial arts will become more than just an activity.
I understand. So you're taking it to a spiritual level, the martial art.
I think, okay, a spiritual, maybe a more, you know, a more mental and a visionary level. Like, I am 42 years old and I cannot compete in a martial art event with an 18, 19-year-old young man who's been training for a few years, right? Because he has the strength, he has the speed, he's at the peak of his physical level. But maybe during my martial arts practice, I learn other ways of, you know, maybe winning a fight, or avoiding a fight, or minimizing the damage in a fight, which I think is also it's a very important life skill.
These are valuable experience from which the young generation, the young martial artists, they can learn, and they can use it for better themselves and for improving their skills and their life as well. I see.
True.
And
but you tell me a bit of your involvement in Tai Chi and Qi Kong, because
well, as we draw the discussion here, you see, Tai Chi, Qi Kong is not a martial art, and Tai Chi is a martial art, but it's called internal martial art. That means the attention is focused inside what happens and what transforms in our body as we practice. Moreover, Tai Chi, it's based on a different principles compared to the other martial art, which we call it external. So everything is achieved not through contraction or of the muscles, through struggle, but through relaxation, mental and physical, through improving the breathing, improving the circulation, improving the functioning of the nervous system, metabolism, so on and so forth. So these are the first difference that we encounter when we start the practice of Tai Chi. And moreover, furthermore, I would like just to bring this aspect. We cannot learn Tai Chi from a book or from watching a video. We have to step by step, progressively, to learn and to experience. If we do not experience inside this transformation, we will feel nothing. That's why in Tai Chi, the first principle from the Taoist is action without action. We see someone just standing there, barely moving, and we think they do nothing. Actually, there's a lot of things that the bare eye cannot observe, unless we are initiated in this art.
True. And I think I see what you're saying. In front of my building every morning, there are Chinese people, very elderly Chinese people, practicing Tai Chi and practicing movement, and they're so beautiful. And sometimes I think, oh, they're so slow. And then when I think more about it, it's more than just a slow movement. It's the way they probably feel on the inside, right?
Exactly. The attention, as I said, is drawn inside. And the movement could be considered slow, but there's a lot of movements that happen in the same time. So the rhythm is slow because that's a lot of focus, but actually the movement, it's not slow. The movement, it's a continuous flow. That's what and the higher level, they can flow from a movement to another without stopping for quite a long time.
I can see that. You know, sometimes I joined some, you know, Tai Chi practice either in Bangkok or here in the park, And the level of flexibility that I see in these older Chinese people just makes me like feel like I'm a super beginner. They can bend and they can stay in positions that I cannot stand. And I think I'm at the peak of my physical fitness in my 40s. And I can see that there is a lot to learn, not from only one kind of martial art or kind of movement philosophy. You can actually learn from many, many places and from many disciplines. And I'm always open to learning new things. And I'm not afraid to say that, okay, in my experience, this is what we would do. But to be open to what others have to say, I think it's also a skill, you know?
We always have to be open. More of that, I have a background in karate. So in the very beginning, I started with karate, and then I let it go because it was not I was looking for. But now and then I still watch karate on YouTube and some other medias. And I see grandmasters of karate moving exactly like we move in Tai Chi. So I think somewhere they are connected. Somewhere they find all this spiritual side, you know? Yes. And they take their practice to a different level. There's no longer this contraction, this strength, this power that's shown, but it's more of a mind concentration and focus on the environment, focus on our relation with life around us. This is a kind of trying to bring us more close to nature, more close to the flow, if I can
Yeah.
illustrate this. So we are part of the nature. We are integrate because what's this, you know, Tai Chi and Taoist concepts, they go together. If we go with what's natural, we may sustain ourselves with a very little energy consumption. But if we oppose the nature, what's natural, then there will be a lot of struggle with minimum results.
I think in Aikido there is a similar concept of do not oppose your opponent, but follow his or her own movement to take over and control rather than attack.
Yes, yes. I saw Aikido demonstration. They resemble pretty much with Tai Chi, but Tai Chi, I would say from the first insight, tried to use even less movement than Aikido to speculate the timing and the instinct and the reflex of the opponent from the fighting point of view. Tai Chi is much more than fighting because in the beginning it was fighting, but now, as we see nowadays, is more used for wellness, for cultivating ourselves.